Hi Duelists, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Jared. If you do know me, welcome back to the channel. On today's video, I wanted to show you a deck that I've been testing for post-Power of the Elements, which is Exosister. Power of the Elements is bringing a lot of new hype archetypes to Yu-Gi-Oh! I think this format is quite stale right now between Sword Soul, Despia, and the Punk Engine combo-centric decks. So I think that Power of the Elements coming is a huge, nice improvement to the meta and be able to enjoy from the game, again, from my standpoint, bringing 3 new competitive decks to Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is the one I'm showing is Exosister right now. This is the one I've been testing. I think it's, out of the 3, it's the most simple in my opinion. I would actually put Tearlaments as the hardest one to learn because that deck is so open-ended, it can do so much. And I put Split in the middle because Split, as much as it can do a lot, it actually is very limited of what it can do, if that makes any sense, because of the restrictions that they have. But overall, I think that Power of the Elements coming out is going to be super exciting for the meta and what's going to be upcoming. And this is what I've been testing against Tier Elements and a little bit of Split too as well with my brother. So I wanted to show you guys what I've been using and how I ended up with my list, and so far I've been really liking it. So I'm going to move on straight to the deck list. Alright, so this is the deck list that we've been running with. As you can see here, there's only 5 OCG cards in here. That's just the 5 cards out of Power of the Elements, being the Malfa here and then the trap card down here. But for the actual list itself, I'm just going to run through it real quick, and then I'll explain my choices of why things have changed and stuff like that. So we have 2 copies of Ash, 2 copies of Valor, 3 copies of Ellis, 2 copies of Irene, 3 copies of Malfa, 3 copies of Sophia, 3 copies of Stella, 1 copy of Ghost Ogre, 3 copies of Zora, 1 copy of Call by the Grave, 3 Crossout Designators, 2 Exosister Armament, 3 packs, 2 Potted Desires, 2 Latania, 3 Vadis, and 2 Imperm. There's a lot of different... figuring out ratios with this deck was really annoying, in testing. And what I mean by that is that, so Malfa locks you into only Exosister monsters, and that's why I truly think that this deck isn't gonna be at the same level as Split and Tearlaments, because this restriction is so heavy for any deck to, any competitive deck to use. There hasn't been a lot of competitive decks that strictly lock you into the archetype itself. So I think that's a huge, holding back. If you could activate this in hand and they use Ash Blossom, if you could Gamma that would be amazing, but you can't do that in this deck, unfortunately. That's a huge setback. But yeah, so weird things, 2 Ash, 2 Valor, 1 Ogre, 2 Imperm. This is for Crossout. I needed to make as much room as possible for Crossout, and at the same time be able to play enough monsters to go into a rank 4 turn 1, because the best combo you have on your turn 1 is making any rank 4. Any rank 4 is the best combo you have in your deck. So ideally, if you don't have this in your hand, you want to be able to use, let's say, a Stella and summon a Sophia to draw a card, or Sophia Ellis to get the draw still, so you get the +1. Then you can make, what's it called? Caspatel to then get Malfa to get Mikalis to get one of the traps, and then overlay the 2 Exceeds for Magnifica, and then you have the trap plus Magnifica, which is really, really good. So yeah, that's it for the main deck. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, the 2 Ash, 2 Valor, Ghost Ogre, and the 2 Imperm is for Crossout. A Ghost Ogre is a weird one, I know, but it actually is very good against Gigantic Split, because it doesn't resolve, because Split has to detach to resolve the effect. So if you Ghost Ogre it, it'll stop it. So I think people are going to be playing it next format. Yeah, I really don't want to play 2 Ash Blossom and 2 Valor. I do want to play 3 Ash Blossom because of just how strong Ash Blossom is. But yeah, you just can't. And the reason Crossout's so important is because there's a lot of times, I shouldn't say there's a lot of times, but there is times where you can summon Stella and it get Imperm or Valor and it hurts a lot, or you can summon Zora, especially, it gets hurts. This getting hit by an Imperm or Valor really hurts. Because you can't extend at all. You have no extenders in your deck past this, because if you special summon anything that isn't an Exosister, you can't use Malfa that turn, which sucks. But the fact that you have you have your 3 Pseudo Rhoda, or it could also be E-Telly in the form of packs. This card is really good, being able to tag out your Exosisters depending on the board presence of when you can activate it. But it's really, really good being able to use 1 Exosister for an Exceed. Yeah, overall, the deck is really, really strong. And we're gonna move on to the extra deck. I think this is where the extra deck is where the power of this deck really lies, because of the strong effects that they have when they're summoned. So yeah, I'll just go through them one by one. So we have some Magis's cards here for I wanted variables for Zora. So when I say variables, I mean it turns off Malfa for the turn. But if you go Zora and Synchro for the Synchro Zora, use the Synchro Zora's effect on the field to equip the either the Fusion or the Link. Your opponent cannot activate Fusion or Link monsters anymore. So obviously this is really, really good against certain decks. So against like a Salamangreat deck, you want to equip the Link, and then they can't use Link monsters anymore, for instance. Or if against like a Despia deck, you want to equip the Fusion, and then they can't use Fusions anymore. And I know you're saying, oh, this is only 2,900, but if you have this equipped to it, they do get effects when they're equipped. Like this one gains 1,000 attack and defense. So Zora is actually 3,900. So that's very annoying for a Despia deck to deal with. Yeah, so could shut down a lot of plays very quickly with that. So yeah, we have the one Fusion Magistus, the one Synchro Magistus, the good Synchro Zora. There is another one, but you don't play it. And then we have the Link Magistus, which is the search. So you can go Zora, equip this, special and Exosister, use this to search another Zora for next turn, and then you have another follow-up for the following turn, which is really good. And then we played the one Exceed Magistus, and this is the one that destroys spell and traps. This was for certain floodgates that I was using it for. There is another Exceed that you can play. I'll show you right now. Her, and she negates monsters, and this might come up more in the Tearlament matchup, because if your opponent goes Winda, you need a card to beat it. Wind is really hard, so you might like want to fit this in somewhere. I don't know what I would cut yet. I still need more testing for the next format, but like overall, I think this is something that's definitely worth noting and just to keep in mind when you're making this deck to out things like Window or any floodgate monster. But yeah, moving on from the Magistus part of the extra with the actual Exosister cards, we have the 2 copies of Astafel. I'm sorry, I'm so bad with these names, but this is the one that your opponent can't activate in effects in the graves, just like Abyss Dweller. But they each have so many effects that you almost like forget about some of them. Like each Exosister Exceed has 3 effects. They all have 3 effects. There's one when they're summoned. There's a continuous one usually, and then one when they're you can use on your turn as just a normal trigger effect. So like just something to keep in mind. So this one can't be destroyed by the activated effects of monsters special from the graveyard. I know these are like niche, but like when they don't come up a lot, but when they do, it's super relevant. So even against certain things, I can't even think of an example right now, but like I guarantee you, there's just gonna be times where stuff like this is relevant. Yeah, and then when it's summoned, like I said, you can need to activate effects for the turn, and you can summon this in your opponent's turn so that it just locks them out completely. And then you can detach a material target on monster opponent controls will turn to the hand. So again, there's a lot of different niche scenarios with this deck that you can use things for, but this one's mostly used for the activated effects in the grave this turn. Now I'm just kind of like speed through them a little bit just to make it go by faster. We played 1 copy of Gibberine. This is really just for the 800 attack boost to go for game, because Magnifica can attack twice, so you can gain 800 and then attack twice with the extra damage is a lot. Adds up very, very quickly. So yeah, if you have this and this, that's an OTK by itself, which is really, really strong. This one, it searches for monsters, and then it also detaches to add Exosister. Like I said, adds Exosister monster, and then this one's special summon from grave the turn it's summoned. Michalis is search an Exosister spell or trap, and then banish a monster the turn it's summoned. Or a card your opponent from their field or grave. God, I have to like reread these so many times because they all have so many effects that I just like it's so hard to remember all of them. And then we have the 2 copies of Magnifica. Magnifica is ridiculous. This card is nuts. If my end board doesn't have Magnifica, like I feel like I'm just upset because of how strong I want this on like every end board. It's so good. So it's 2,800. It can attack twice. That's huge already. So it's good going second. And then quick effect during either player's turn, you can detach to banish a card non-targeting on the field. That's huge too, going second. And then when your opponent activates a card, you can return an Exceed material that's on it to the extra deck, and then special summon that monster back on top of the Magnifica to make the Magnifica the Exceed material. So you can like banish your opponent's card, and then if they use something, use the other effect to tag it out, which I've done this before. Like I've used Magnifica's banish effect, they've impermed it, and then I've chained Magnifica's other effect to tag it out to dodge the imperm to then summon Mikalis, then use Mikalis to banish another card that they control. Like, there's just so many things. Like, it's so stupid. But yeah, this card's just insane. Like, I'm to describe it. And then Mikalis sets you up for a search next turn for a follow up too to get packs. So it's like, holy shit, this deck just like when it gets going, like it's so stupid. But yeah, and then other than all the Exosisters and the Magician's cards, the only one of those that we play is Divine Zeus, because Zeus is unfair. Zeus comes out and resolves. It's so huge. So I might change around the side deck still. For now, I just have 3 Droll, 3 Nibiru, 3 Anti-Spell, 3 Barrier, and 3 Summon Limit. This is subject to change because I want something to combo with Zeus. I might play something like Dark Ruler because I think it's so high impact and can really like help against certain matchups. So we'll see. I might get changed around like I said. But for now, this is what I'm playing. The 2 Trap was because I ended up breaking on it a couple times because it by itself doesn't do anything. And by that, I mean like if you have Vadis in comparison, Vadis can summon 2 from the deck, and if your opponent doesn't deal with the Vadis on their turn or summon anything from the grave, you can just use it on your own turn and summon out Sophia and Irene, and then they both get a draw. And then I know like Irene puts one back, but this is a free draw Sophia, and then you can like hand rearrange with Irene. So it's really like, even if this can start your plays, this doesn't start your plays. So ideally, you want to search this one out with Mikalis, because this is, you're already playing, you know what I mean? Like, you're already playing the game, so you don't need to search Vadis. But Vadis is super good because you can, if your opponent does something that special summon or moves something from the graveyard, like Rodentonen for against Sploit, for instance, or activates any Tyrolmance card in the graveyard, you can chain Vadis, get 2 monsters, and those 2 monsters will automatically just trigger to summon out 2 more guys, which is just it's just so stupid. It's just like, I don't know how to describe it. It's really, really powerful. It's a huge tempo swing. It's the best way I could describe it, to be honest. But overall, I really like this deck, but I do not think it's going to be tier 1, like, after testing it, to be honest. I really see this being like a tier 2 strategy, a very high tier 2, like probably like top level of tier 2, but it's not like Sploit and Tyrolmance. Like, I'm not playing it and being like, oh, this is unfair. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like every hand feels fair. Unlike Sploit and Tyrolmance, when they go off, it's just silly. But you'll have to wait for Power of the Elements to see that happen. I'm going to try to release deck profiles for Tyrolmance and Sploit sometime soon, but I wanted to start off with the weakest of the 3. And this is the one I've been testing the most too, so I wanted to at least show the one that I know the most and can talk about. But yeah. And this another thing I wanted to mention about Armament before I end this video was that Armament's really good if you get stuffed. So if you get like Valor or Ash, being able to set Armament to still be able to shut down your opponent on their turn is really, really big. That's just the last thing I wanted to mention real quick, because this does come up sometimes, and when it does, it's like, it's not great, but when it does come up, it's super clutch. That's the best way I can describe it. It's like a hand toss of how good it is, because being able to tag out between like 2 different ones matters a lot. It really does. So overall, I hope you guys enjoy this deck profile. I'm really excited for this deck. I have this whole deck like pulled out here. Yeah, like I have it actually made right here, ironically, in real life, waiting for Malfa and when the trap card to come out. I'm gonna try to pronounce it, but yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you try out this deck, what you change, what your suggestions are in the comments down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And overall, if you guys want to see other deck profiles like this, let me know. I love explaining and testing things, especially for future Yu-Gi-Oh, because man, a lot of the times current Yu-Gi-Oh is so boring, and I think Punk ruined current Yu-Gi-Oh for me. I can't go to Nationals this year, unfortunately, so I'm just going to be working towards the future to have fun. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Hope you had a good 4th of July, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.